All right, welcome everybody. Tonight we're going to do lesson 3 in how to be your own genie. All right, so how's everybody doing? Don't be shy.
Excellent.
Great. Okay, so have you guys been doing your movies, your mind movies? And you don't lie. Remember, if you're not doing it, it's okay.
I have not been doing it like I should.
That's fair. You know what? I'm going to confess something. I haven't even picked anything to work on as my chief aim, and I've been teaching this stuff. Isn't that horrible?
Well, you just get distracted so easily sometimes.
Yes. And I don't know if anybody has found this, but my biggest problem is picking something. What do I want? What do I want? That's the biggest question, isn't it?
Well, I think that you should focus in on selling more Akashic record readings.
Really? It's funny that you say that because I'm usually not focused on that. I get readings. I have so many just old time clients that, like clockwork, they get readings, every 3 months or every year or whatever. And I have enough on my plate that I don't really think about that. But I'm going to a meeting on Tuesday night about that subject, and it's a whole group of us. We all do Akashic readings. We all do science too, involving the Akashic records. And so it's so funny because I haven't actually been involved in going to any meetings with these people because I was on night shift for the longest time, and I wasn't able to attend, and now I'm able to attend my first meeting in like a year and a half. And that's on Tuesday. So it's pretty cool.
Excellent. That's great.
So maybe I should focus on that. I'll start that tonight. I'll start my mind movie. Okay, so does anybody remember the 5 basics?
I remember that the last recording said that you're not ready if you don't know them right off the top of your head. So obviously, I'm not there yet.
Well, that's true. If you know everything that I'm teaching you in the basic training, enough that you can teach it without notes, then you know it. But if you don't know it, if you're asked a question and you kind of have to look at your notes, then you don't know it well enough yet. But that's okay. That just means you got to practice. All right. So the first basic is, who do you listen to? Can anybody name the second basic? It doesn't really matter the order, just as long as you list all 5. So who do you listen to? Okay. So the second one, training balance scale. There's the 4 steps of learning, and there is the teachability index and master the basics. Does anybody want to explain teachability index? This is good practice for people for when there's a test.
Teachability index is your willingness to learn and your willingness to learn. Oh my God, I had it and it went right out of my old brain.
Well, that's a good effort anyway. Okay, I'll give that a B. Good try. All right, so willingness to learn and your willingness to accept change. So what are you willing to give up in order to learn this? Your time, your effort, your money. Are you willing to travel and get on a plane to do this? And also your willingness to accept change. You may have to change certain things in your life, including your friends, if you want things to change for you. That doesn't mean that you have to go out and get all new friends. That just means to be prepared that as you're learning this, you are going to be changing. And therefore, some of your friends might not like that and they'll hang out with you less. But then other people will discover this new person that you've become and you'll get new friends that way. So there's nothing wrong with that. All right, so let's go on to training balance scale. Anybody want to explain the training balance scale? Professor Know Nothing, we want to hang out with you. Okay, so the training balance scale is something that you would think is balanced, but it's actually not. It's balanced when one side is 90% or more on the thinking side, the planning side, strategizing, and less than 10% on the other side of the scale would be action, implementing certain strategies, actually doing the grunt work would be less than 10%. And the idea is that the more you focus on thinking, the more good ideas will come to you. And also, when you're focused on your goal and you're thinking about it, thinking about it, thinking about it, you have absolutely no choice but to get excited and go springing into action. So you'll be thinking about a goal and you'll want to implement it, and suddenly you're brainstorming with your friends about it. And before you know it, this person is doing all of the emailing. This person is going to contact the lawyer. This person is going to set it into motion by getting a sales team put together, that sort of thing. So the more you think about something, the more you can't help but actually do the thing that you're thinking about. Does that make sense?
Sure does.
Okay. And then who do you listen to? We have several answers for that. Okay. I've gone over two of them. So one of them is you're going to listen to somebody who knows what they're talking about. They have succeeded at the topic at hand over and over and over. So when you listen to them, you're listening to somebody who knows how to succeed. But we touched on another one. Does somebody remember that? We touched on another answer to that same question. Who do you listen to? Okay, ultimately, you listen to yourself because you're going to be listening to your gut instinct, not your head, but your gut. A lot of times you might think that your gut is telling you something, but it's actually a thought. So you're going to focus on where that energy is coming from. Is it coming from above the shoulders or is it coming from the abdomen area? If it's coming from the abdomen, it probably is your gut. And you're going to use discernment. It doesn't matter what books you read, what program you're watching on television, audios that you're listening to, you're always going to use discernment, including with what I'm teaching you as well. So you're going to use your gut to tell you if you should listen to me. And then the next the next basic is to master the basics. And we discussed how important it is to just go through the 5 basics over and over and over again in order to get good at this, because everything else is really quite easy. Until you master the basics, you're not going to get it. Things are just going to go through one ear and out the other. Okay, so when we're talking about our mind movies, has anyone seen any synchronicities? Like maybe you're going to get your heart's desire soon?
Not yet, but I have not put enough effort into it to expect anything.
Okay, that's fair. Now, do you feel excited and blissfully happy when you think of your heart's desire?
Yes.
Okay, so do you feel that it is now in the sweet spot? Because I think the last time you were talking about some negative emotions.
Correct. I do believe that is correct.
Awesome. Okay. So when we're thinking of our heart's desires, you guys, we need to be focused on a sweet spot. So your heart's desire should be big enough that it's going to excite you to get it, but small enough that you think that you're going to succeed at getting it. Now, these techniques do work regardless. We went over the math in lesson 1, and the math shows how it is scientifically inevitable. The math is there that you will get it. However, if there's any doubts, that's going to add certain energy into the mix. So doubt can sink a ship is a saying that we always say. Doubt can sink a ship. So you can write that down in your notes if you want. All right. So we're going to learn something new today called the system. All right, so I'm going to direct your attention down to the Fried Snobs, and it's Fried Snobs text. All right, so I posted lesson 3 from Your Wish is Your Command. That is Kevin Trudeau doing the training. If you want, you can refer to lesson 2 and lesson 1, which I posted earlier in the week. I would try and copy these to some kind of a flash drive or to your computer so that you can listen to these over and over again. All right, now the second thing I posted is a picture that has a triangle in the center. Can everyone see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is a symbol. I'm sure many of you have seen this symbol before in various forms. So I'm going to show you what the meaning is behind this symbol. This is the symbol for the system. So you can write that down in your notes, the system. And there are 5, sorry, 5 aspects to this. All right, so the triangle, one side of the triangle is books. The next side is audios. The third side of the triangle is events. Then all of the rays, like sun rays, coming from the center and emanating outward, all of those rays stand for your friends. Another way to think of it is your peers or like-minded people. And there's a base of recognition. That's the line that's at the bottom of the triangle. So underneath the triangle. All right, so I'm going to say that again. So the 5 elements are in the triangle: books, audios, and events, surrounded by peers with a base of recognition. Okay, now I actually posted a symbol with those words written down just a little bit lower. Yeah, that's the last symbol that I posted actually. So it shows you books, audios, events, and then relationships. So that would be friends, relationships, peers, with a base of recognition. Okay, so where else have you seen this symbol?
Money, money, money.
Yes. Now there's something extra on the dollar bill. What is it?
The eye, which is that the third eye?
Yes. So the eye, I'm not really going to get into. I can allow you to theorize over that. I believe they call it the eye of providence, but I'm just going to let you theorize about what that is. So the symbol that I provided is uncluttered, and it's just there in its strictest form. But I did provide an example of the money symbol so that you could see the difference and how they hide it in plain sight. Okay, so we're going to go over the 5 elements of the system. The system is, I would say, the most important thing that you will learn besides the basics. So with books, leaders are always readers. The types of books written by secret society authors are the best to read because they touch on all of the appropriate subjects, especially when we're talking about the basics and the system. But we don't have the opportunity to read these books, okay? They are in private libraries that society members have, so their homes, their private homes. So as a result, I'm going to give you the next best thing, which is a book list of books that will teach the system or pretty darn close to the system, and they're fairly on point. They're not as good as reading books from the societies, but they're close. All right. So when you read a book, you are a particular person right now, and you're reading that book as who you are. But what if you wait a couple years and reread the book? What do you think? Are you the same person?
Probably
No,
not.
hopefully you've grown.
Right. And it's going to feel like it's a different book because you're going to pick up on different points in the book. You're going to be learning new things. It's sort of like eating. I mean, you don't say, oh, no, thanks. I ate last year. I don't need to eat again. I mean, you eat every day. It doesn't mean that you have to eat the same things all the time. You're going to be a new person when you read a book again that you read 20 years ago. So part of these techniques is reading and rereading books all the time. You're going to be applying these techniques and changing. It's upping your vibration, which means that you're going to be reading books at a totally different level 5 years from now. Now, another thing is audios. Audios are part of the system. What we mean by audios is everyday learning from your mentor. In this case, you're going to be listening to audios from Kevin Trudeau. And the point, again, is that you're going to be changing. So you're going to listen to these over and over again. So the same concept applies. You're going to have new cognitions every time you go through this material. So I would save all of the tracks and listen to them again, because you never know, it might not, the link might not work or something like that. Now, the third part of the triangle is events. What we mean by events is something should be at least a weekend where you are spending 2 nights away from home. This is going to allow you to break your daily routine, which can act as a rut. So you're going to be away from home. You're not going to be going to work or doing the same things you do all the time. And that's going to take you out of that rut. And you might actually feel a little bit of stress, right? Because you're going to be in a new place, probably staying in a hotel. You might be in a new city and you'll get lost, that sort of thing. You might even have to travel to a foreign country to go to an event. And maybe you don't really know the customs in that country. Now, at an event, the two other aspects of the symbol for the system come into play. You're going to be surrounded by your peers or like-minded people who hopefully will become your friends. Now, you are also going to be going through recognition. Recognition is important, both giving and receiving, because believe it or not, people really want to talk about themselves. They really enjoy asking you questions, but for the most part, the average person likes to talk about themselves. So recognition is kind of a way that you let them get some attention. You have to give people a win once in a while. Let people win an argument. Let people stand on stage. Let people receive applause, okay? But this is not, it's definitely not a participation trophy. That's not what we're talking about. So if you have a contest that involves performance of some sort, so in sales, you know, you have to sell a certain number of items and then you get put on the board and the top seller will get the most recognition, that sort of thing, okay? So when you have contests of achievement, only the winners get the prize. But you can have different categories of achievement as well. And part of recognition is allowing people the opportunity to receive energy from a crowd of people adoring them. It's amazing how people react to that kind of energy. It's like you're just soaking it in. It's really cool. So when you're going to an event and you're not hanging out with the knuckleheads at your office or in your neighborhood, and instead you're spending time with peers that are trying to improve themselves like you are, and they're giving you recognition and you are giving them recognition, it is a very powerful time. All right, so does anybody have any stories that they can tell from their own life where you received a prize or recognition of some sort? It was from an achievement that you made. And how did that make you feel?
Well, I was the number 8 sales rep, so that felt pretty good. They gave a bunch of prizes away.
What prize did you get, if you don't mind sharing?
They paid for a weekend in New Jersey at a big ceremony where they recognized everyone, and they paid for everything, and it was good meals and everything at Atlantic City.
Oh, that's nice. Well, awesome. Good job. I had the experience in gin because I was the top member. I had level 6, and then I had also actually gone through level 5 less than a year earlier. So level 6 was the highest you can go. So you had to give a speech for level 5, and then you had to give a speech for level 6. And it just so happened that I did it so quickly that during the same event, I had to speak twice. So it's pretty funny. But I had a 5-minute speech and I was so nervous. And there was about, I would say there was 5,500 people there. And it was on a cruise ship, and it was like it was going to Mexico, and it was just great. And I was so nervous, and I thought, I don't even want to do this. This is horrible. But I went up there, and I just bit the bullet, and I did it, and I gave my speech, and it just felt so good because everybody was cheering, and the whole atmosphere was cool, and it was like I was just drinking in the energy. You know what I mean?
That sounds pretty exciting. What do you got, Abby? Come on, tell us something.
I don't really have anything. I mean, not where like I won a prize. I could tell you a little teeny one. Like yesterday, one of my agents called me and said, "Hey, can you access this email because a client was supposed to send or a pantry person was supposed to send me an email." And I did, and didn't look like it was there. And I'm like, okay, I'll check this other email. It's not there either. I'll text the other office person and see if they found it and deleted it. And she just said, I really appreciate everything you do for us. And that was awesome because sometimes, not getting that appreciation for simple things like checking a bunch of emails at 7 o'clock at night is recognized.
Oh, great. I'm glad that you brought that up because I wanted to address that and I forgot to put that down in my notes. Yeah, so recognition can be, like I talked about at the events where, you're on stage and people are clapping and it's all good. But recognition can also be something very simple, like somebody opens a door for you and you say, "Oh, thank you very much." Okay, so I wanted to go on to just share things that happened to me because of this type of material. So when I learned this material, I took it to heart, and I listened to the audios over and over, and I got all of the books on the basic book list, which I'm about to give you guys. And I went to all of the events, every single one, even the ones in Rome and Paris. And so I flew all over the world just to attend these events. And it really changed my life. Like I lost 120 pounds when I was doing all the gym stuff. And all of my friends and family noticed. Like they didn't know what I was doing, they didn't understand it, but they were like, "What are you doing? You must have changed something in your life because you just seem so much happier and just, you look great and what's going on?" So that's a real testimony when people who don't really understand gin and this material, but yet they see the change in the person.
You
Oh,
lost an entire person?
yeah, I know. Isn't that weird?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Now, since I have left gin because Kevin was put in prison, I will confess that I stopped listening to the audios. I do listen to them once in a while, but I have stopped listening to them like every day because I was a real diehard and I stopped doing a lot of the practices that I had been doing every day. Although I still do them, on a regular basis, I don't do them the way I was doing them. And I have gained back some of the weight. So maybe I should make that my goal. Ooh, that'd be a good goal. Lose weight. Okay, so in the theme of the system, we are going to talk about the books that I promised to give you guys. Okay, so I posted in Fried Snobs, I posted the book list. So I'm going to just read those out loud. So we have The Secret, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The New Psycho-Cybernetics, The Magic of Believing, Think and Grow Rich. See You at the Top. Oh, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, it showed a big red not connected sign on my thing. Okay, so See You at the Top is the next book. The Magic of Thinking Big. The Law of Success. It also might be called The Law of Success in 16 Lessons. And that's by Napoleon Hill. And the next one is actually titled It Works, the famous little red book that makes your dreams come true. How to have confidence and power in dealing with people. How I raised myself from failure to success in selling. The Go-Getter. Acres of Diamonds. Ask and it is given. Your wish is your command. Guidebook. And I will have to give that to you guys. I don't even know where it is. I'll try to find that. And then As a Man Thinketh.
Is there any particular order you suggest? Do you suggest from top to bottom?
No, it doesn't really matter. If you want to like get the really short ones out of the way, I would say It Works is something you could read in like 20 minutes, and Go Getter is like a 30-minute read. So they're both really small books. Other than that, no, there's no particular order. Now, I don't expect you guys to be reading these books like in 1 week, okay? Because you're going to have to go to Amazon probably and order it. And by the time it comes to your house, we're talking probably like a week later if you order all the books right now. So yeah, there's no rush. There's definitely no rush, but you want to think about reading these books and read them over and over again, okay? Okay, now I wanted to go over the Mind movie that we're supposed to be playing in our minds, okay? You're supposed to be doing this 2 to 3 times a day. If you have time for more, you could do more. That's perfectly cool. But who can tell me like the parameters of the Mind movie? What are you supposed to be putting in your movie?
As much detail as possible.
Yes, for sure. Okay. It is going to be an event that proves you got your heart's desire. So the example would be if you want to get married to the love of your life and live happily with that person until the day one of you dies, then your Mind movie would be your 40th wedding anniversary, for example. And you would imagine, okay, what colors are prevalent, who's there, and then make sure everyone is happy because you don't want to be miserable for 40 years. You want to be happy with the love of your life. And is there cake? What kind of cake? Is it chocolate cake? Is there frosting? Are there candles on the cake? What kind of smells are there? Do you have grandchildren? What kind of everything? What kind of people are there at your wedding anniversary? Did you get any presents? Were there like skits? What's going on? And you make sure that you have a conversation with a loved one and you're looking back on who you are right now. And you're going to have a conversation about how you thought it was going to be difficult, but it turned out to be not so difficult. Or you might say it was difficult, but it was so worth it, or something like that. So you're going to look back on who you are right now. And that is going to be your Mind movie. Okay, now there's another additional piece that I think we should go over right now. The how is irrelevant. You guys can write that down. The how is irrelevant. It doesn't matter how your heart's desire comes about. Assuming that we're all honest people here, okay? Nobody's going to be doing anything illegal to get the heart's desire, okay? You're not going to be, selling drugs or killing people here. You're going to get your heart's desire honestly. The how is irrelevant, and the Lord works in mysterious ways. So when you're wondering how you're going to get this impossible dream, don't worry about the how. It doesn't matter how. Just focus on your mind movie and knowing that the math makes it inevitable. All you should be focused on is, how do I feel? And another thing you can write down, and I've touched on it before, is feel good now. Always make sure that you feel good now. Now, if you don't feel good, don't fake it, okay? But you should be asking yourself, just quietly, well, if I feel bad, why do I feel bad? And try to determine what that is, why you're feeling that way.
Because I ate too much pizza for dinner.
Oh, yeah, heartburn?
No, just a full stomach, Ugh.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. Well, that's okay. It's okay to have a little bit of full tummy. Okay, sorry, my headphones were messing up. All right, so the system is designed to engage different parts of your brain. When you're reading books, a different part of you is engaging than when you're listening to audios, et cetera, et cetera. So the idea would be that you're going to be activating different parts of you while you're doing all of these 5 things, okay? And if you can incorporate this into your daily life, that's even better, because it's going to seem effortless if you're constantly using the system versus, just reading books all day. That gets kind of tiresome. I mean, I don't want to read books all day, you know what I'm saying? But if you go for a jog and you listen to the audios while you're jogging, and then you read a book for 30 minutes, it doesn't seem like you've been engaging the system for an hour and a half. But if you run and then read a book, you actually have been engaging yourself for an hour and a half. So it's important to understand that reading too, it activates a certain part of you where you're using your imagination. And who here has read a book, and while you're reading, somebody's trying to get your attention and they're screaming your name and you're not paying any attention to them, right? Because you're so engrossed in the book that you're oblivious to the world around you. I mean, I'm sure all of us have had that happen to them. So it's engaging your imagination. And audios don't do that, or they might do that, but they do it in a different way. Same thing with recognition. There's so many different ways to recognize somebody. And when you recognize someone, it actually makes you feel better too as a person, as opposed to, like, say, have you ever yelled at somebody or chastised somebody and then later you regretted it?
Well, absolutely.
Right. Whether we want to admit it or not, we have power when it comes to dealing with other people. And if you treat a waiter or a janitor with the utmost respect, that really says something about who you are as a person. Okay, so are there any questions about the basics or the system?
I have a question about the system. So you actually want us to read the book. We should not do an audiobook?
You can do an audiobook, but in everything you should be using discernment. So that goes back to, who do you listen to? You listen to yourself. You're going to listen to your gut.
Okay, I just meant like even from that list of books.
I would do both, actually, if you can afford it. If you can afford a copy of The Secret in both written and audio form, go for it.
Okay, gravy. I did find It Works, the Little Red Book on PDF, and I put it in Fried Snobs.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it's very short, but this book was written by a very super wealthy guy, and it works. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay, so if that's everything, then that's today's lesson. But are there any more questions on the system? Because it is really important.
Now, on the book list, are you saying that you will not get the same benefit if you listen to the audiobook versus if you physically read the book?
Okay, so technically, if you have a physical book, it has a lot of power because the written word will actually contain, because if you think about E equals MC squared, right? So energy is transformed to matter. So when you possess something material, it contains powerful energy. However, okay, you can get an audio of Think and Grow Rich, and you can listen to the audio of that, but maybe you already have a copy of See You at the Top. So you can read that and listen to Think and Grow Rich, and you're actually engaging both sides of the system, right? Both sides of the triangle. What I would not recommend is all digital. So if all of your books are digital, I would say try to get at least a few that are physical books.
Okay, that makes sense. I own 4 of them already, so 3 or 4 of them. I have to make sure I didn't give the other ones to the thrift store.
Oh, right on.
No, that makes sense that they should not all be digital. I get it.
Yeah, for some reason, there just isn't as much benefit when you have a digital book, but you still, you're still reading the information and you're engaging your brain in that imagination setting. So you're still getting benefit, but it's just not as much when it's digital versus real copy of a book. When I go to camp, like sometimes I fly up to camp and I'll be working there for months, and we're only allowed to bring 45 pounds with us. So when we have to work outside, most of that 45 pounds is clothes for me. So I usually just bring my Kindle. But when I'm at home, I read physical books.
Okay, great.
All right, you guys, thanks for a great show today.